What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing the Chase Freedom Flex card now that I've had this card for over a year. And spoiler alert, it's one of my favorite Chase personal cards that they have. I personally like this card more than the other Freedom card, which is the Freedom Unlimited. And honestly, this is probably the only card that Chase doesn't need to revamp, whereas pretty much all their other personal cards they probably should update. So today I'm going to be going over the card itself, and then after that, I'll be giving an explanation on my experience with the card and how I use the card to its fullest potential. And then, of course, after that, I'll just be going over how you can also get value from this card and really who it's for. So if you enjoy credit card videos and some travel award videos and redemptions and all that fun stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel for some future videos. But let's get into it. So the Chase Freedom Flex card, what does this card have to offer? Well, first, it has a pretty decent sign-up bonus for a $0 annual fee credit card, and that sign-up bonus is $200 after spending $500 in the first 3 months. So for a $0 annual fee card, that's a pretty solid sign-up bonus, and I think it's fairly easy, and pretty much anyone should be able to spend at least $500 in 3 months. But there are some other sign-up bonuses that this card has seen, so I do want to point them out. We have seen some better offers where you get the $200 bonus as well as a 5% increase on a category for the first 12 months of the card being open. That could be either gas or groceries, and we've even seen it where both categories are a part of the sign-up bonus. So it really just depends when you sign up. Right now, there actually is a different sign-up bonus that Chase just released, but they did bring down that $200 cash bonus to $100, and then they're offering a 5% grocery category for the first 12 months. So if you do spend quite a bit in the grocery category, then that is a pretty solid sign-up bonus. But I do think most people would be okay with the $200 cash versus the 100 and the 5% in groceries. Typically, the better bonus of getting the $200 cash as well as a 5% bonus, or even both 5% bonuses for grocery and gas, or one or the other, whichever it may be. Typically, that happens at the end of the year. So if you are looking to get this card, potentially wait until then if you have the means to. But otherwise, the sign-up bonus is still pretty good. And so if you don't really care about those categories, then feel free to apply for it now. My personal referral link is down in the description. So if you are looking to apply for this card, I would greatly appreciate it if you did use my link. Go ahead and click on it and just see what the offer is, since there are two offers right now. And then also Google the Chase Freedom Flex card and just see what comes up. And whichever offer is best for you, then go ahead and use that one. Another nice thing about signing up for this card is it does have 0% APR for the first 15 months after opening the account. So if you do have a larger purchase coming up and you want to space that out over a few months and pay it off, then this is a pretty solid option. I have done that myself in the past where I bought like a new couch set. And so instead of just forking up the cash immediately, put it on the card, I think I paid off in just a couple months rather than like the full 15 months. So it is an option, but of course, be sure you know what you're doing and make sure you at least make the minimum payment every single month. That way you don't have any late fees or anything associated with the account, but you won't be earning interest for those first 15 months. So besides the sign-up bonus, what is the main reason to have this card? Well, that would be the 5% rotating quarterly categories that this card offers. It's similar to the Discover It card where every single quarter, Chase will select a few categories that will have a 5% cashback bonus. So it sucks that you can't choose the categories, but still, the categories are usually pretty common ones, and you do earn 5% back up to $1,500 in spend each quarter, so it's also capped. So if you do maximize the spend on the Freedom Flex, you can get like 7,000 points just in that category alone. So like I said, these categories do change every single quarter. Last quarter, Q1 of 2024, it was grocery stores and then like, gyms, spas, that sort of thing. And then this quarter is actually a very solid quarter. You get Amazon.com, hotels, and restaurants all at 5% back. So as you can see, they do include some pretty common and broad categories in these quarterly category bonuses. So it's pretty easy to maximize the potential there. Some of the other multipliers that this card includes is 5% back on travel purchase through the Chase Travel Portal, 3% back on dining in drugstores, and then 1% back on everything else. Now, a cool feature with this card is that if the 5% quarterly category is a category that's already included on the card, they'll actually stack to increase that multiplier even more. So, for example, right now, the quarterly category has dining included, so 5% back on dining. But as I just mentioned, this card already has 3% back on dining all the time. So those multipliers actually stack together. And so for Q2, it'll actually be 7x back on dining. Of course, only up to 1,500 in spend. You may be thinking that 7x is kind of a random number because isn't it 5 plus 3? But technically, Chase categorizes it as 1x on all purchases and then a bonus 2x on dining. So you're only getting the extra 2x rather than the full 3x. So in that case, it is 7x on dining. So it's a bit confusing, but just know that if the 5x category, the quarterly category, is a multiplier that already exists on the card, just know you're technically getting more than 5x. That's all you need to know. So that's really the bread and butter of this card, is that 5x rotating quarterly category, as you can earn quite a bit of value on some pretty common categories that you might not find elsewhere. I mean, I personally like the Amazon.com one because I don't have an Amazon Prime card, and even if I did, I'd be earning cash back rather than Chase UR points, so it's a bit different there. If you're curious on what I mean by those Chase UR points, I'll get into that in just a second, but first let's top off these benefits that come with the card, because technically the Freedom Flex does have a few partner benefits that comes with it. They're nothing really special, but they are there, so quick review of them. You do get a DoorDash Dash Pass subscription up to 3 months complimentary. You also get Lyft 5x back on all Lyft rides. And then also you do get the Instacart Plus credit, again, only a 3-month complimentary benefit. So those benefits aren't anything too special, but just know if it is something you were looking forward to, it is included on the card. So that's the Freedom Flex. It's a pretty straightforward card. There's one more thing to point out, which is this card does have foreign transaction fees, so you cannot use this card, or at least I wouldn't recommend using this card outside of the United States. But otherwise, it is a pretty straightforward card. I do like that there's a $0 annual fee, so there's really no downside to having the card. So my experience has been overall pretty great, since there really is no downside, like I mentioned. And all you have to do is just think about those quarterly categories, which it's only once a quarter. It's not a huge deal. Of course, if you do have a ton of cards in your wallet, then that can be kind of annoying to remember. But for the most part, I mean, you hop on the app, you activate the quarterly bonus, and you're good to go for the next 3 months. So then after earning quite a bit of points on that quarterly bonus with pretty little spend, how do I use these points? Well, like I said, you actually are earning Chase UR points, not just cash back. What's great about Chase UR points is that they're pretty flexible. So of course you can use them for cash back as the card advertises. You can get 1 cent per point for cash back, which is pretty good, especially compared to some other banks out there. If you pair this card with one of the Chase Sapphire cards, being the preferred or the reserve, you can get more value with those points by using them on the Chase travel portal. That could be 1.25 cents per point or 1.5 cents per point in that portal, depending on which card you have. Or you can also transfer them out to one of Chase's transfer partners and get even more value. So in my experience, that's typically what I do, is use the Freedom Flex to top off my Sapphire cards and their point value. And so I'll move the points over from the Freedom Flex into my Sapphire. And then from there, I can use those points to transfer out to partners, which is what I've done recently. I've done it for a Hyatt stay that I have coming up later this year. And I also transferred the points over to Aeroplan for a business class flight. So it's been great having a card that I can actually earn a decent amount of points with, because Chase cards aren't the best at earning compared to some other cards, but the Freedom Flex does help with that. So with all that being said, who is this card for? Honestly, I think this card is meant for pretty much everyone. As I mentioned earlier, this card has no annual fee, so there's really no downside to having this card open. You can earn 5% back on some pretty common categories. And again, like I said, it's pretty easy. Just activate the bonus within the app and you're good to go. So it's an easy way to earn a few thousand points on those common categories. And then from there, as long as you have a Sapphire card in your wallet that you can connect this card to, then you can move those points over to that Sapphire card and get even more value for travel. But even if you're someone that just wants the cash back and you don't want to move it over for travel, you still can do that, because there's a ton of flexibility with this card. And so you do have that cash back option. And so there's just so much flexibility. It's super straightforward. Chase has a great ecosystem. So all of that connected together, I do think this card is meant for basically anyone and everyone who can get their hands on it. Of course, the biggest recommendation is, if you are wanting to travel, making sure that you have a Sapphire card to pair this with. And then also, if you are traveling, then again, there's foreign transaction fees on this card. So having some sort of other card that has no foreign transaction fees, which, by the way, the Sapphire cards do not have foreign transaction fees, so it's a great combination. But that's really the only negatives with the card that I'm going to point out, because everything else is pretty straightforward and really is just beneficial to have. So my take is that everyone should have this card. I'm personally going to be keeping this card open, as there's no reason for me to close this card or downgrade it or whatever it may be, because it's a simple card to use, no annual fees, no downside to it. It's a great earner. So I'm going to be keeping this card open, and I think you guys should also be applying and adding this card to your wallet if you don't have it already. So let me know down below in the comments, do you have this card open? And if so, what do you guys think of it? As you can tell, I'm a pretty big fan of it, so I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But otherwise, that is all I have for you guys today. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for some more credit card and award travel redemption content. And be sure to check out the other videos on the screen if you haven't seen them yet. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next one.